Dinesh D'Souza is in the house. Good morning, Kuhner country. Okay, we're very sorry about these technical problems we had. Something happened with our computer system. It kind of crashed. So we're 5 minutes late, obviously. But anyway, all's well that ends well. So Kuhner Man is on live. You're listening, obviously, now to a live show. And again, we apologize for the technical difficulties. So, in about 25 minutes, at 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have listeners all across the country. That's hence the Eastern Standard Time. We're going to have Dinesh D'Souza on. He has a molto importante, very, very important film. In some theaters, it actually was released last night. But in most places around the country, almost 1,000 movie theaters, I think, 850, almost 900 theaters, it will be released today. And the film is called Vindicating Trump. I've read reviews. The reviews are absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal. I've seen the preview. I've actually seen a couple of clips and of the actual movie itself. And at least from what I've seen and from what I've read, it looks like it's going to be an absolute gem of a film, a blockbuster. And in the movie, Dinesh D'Souza, by the way, Trump plays a big role in the movie. There is an interview, which is the heart and soul of the film, where Trump is asked all kinds of questions no one's ever asked him before. And we're going to be discussing this with Dinesh when he comes on in whatever at 6:30, about whether he thinks the election will be stolen, about who's really trying to assassinate Trump, what is really going on with him and his attempt to win back the presidency. What we do know now is apparently now, according to multiple media reports and leaks coming from the intelligence community, that there are 5 assassination teams that are now trying to assassinate Trump a third time. 3 of them are foreign. They are tied to foreign governments and foreign regimes. The big one is Iran. The Iranians now have put a bounty on Trump's head. Now, if you remember, they are actively colluding with the Harris campaign. It is the biggest scandal of this entire election, and yet the media refuses to cover it because they know it will destroy their candidate. The Iranian regime hacked into the Trump campaign, and they stole sensitive campaign information about Trump, about his whereabouts, about his schedule, but furthermore, about J.D. Vance. And in particular, there was a file, as they do on every vice presidential candidate, who they were thinking of. There was a short list of their top-tier candidates. J.D. obviously won. He's now the nominee. But there were others. But they compile a, pro and con, pluses and negatives. And there's a lot of intimate private information in these files. Well, the Iranians hacked into it, and they handed all of that to the Harris campaign. So it is direct election interference, but even worse, collusion between the mullahs, the Iranians, our mortal enemies, and Kamala. The Iranians now have an assassination team in the United States. This has now been confirmed. And apparently one of these teams has smuggled in 9 shoulder-fired missiles, surface-to-air missiles, and they're trying to shoot down Trump's plane. What they want to do is they want to get a schedule, they want to know where he's going to be, where he's going to be flying from, and try to get preposition some people there and blow the plane out of the sky. This is now one of their so-called plans that now has been leaked to the Trump team, and now it's starting to finally leak to the media. So, as I said to Trump many months ago, I said, look, assassination is the word to use about what the Democrats want to do to Trump. They tried a political assassination, getting him off the ballot, trying to make sure he doesn't run, doing everything to persecute him and his family. That didn't work. So they then escalated to a legal assassination. And a legal assassination is really, think about it, lawfare. It is derived from warfare. Their goal was to imprison Trump, jail Trump, weaponize the entire legal justice system to put him behind bars for the rest of his life. Essentially a legal assassination. That didn't work. So they went now to the actual thing. First, in Butler, Pennsylvania, Trump now says he will be returning to Butler on October 5th to finish the speech that he was never able to give due to that fateful assassination attempt. And of course, what happened just several weeks ago at his golf course in West Palm Beach. Well, now they're going to try a third assassination attempt, and it appears that the Iranians have a hit team that have been smuggled into across our porous border with shoulder-fired missiles. As I said to Trump several months ago, it is imperative that he and J.D. Vance never be together, especially on a plane. 620 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, my friends, Dinesh D'Souza will be on in about 10 minutes to talk about his latest blockbuster film, Must See. In fact, I will be seeing it tonight along with Grace, and I'm bringing Ashton and Ava. It's going to be a family event for us tonight. I'm looking forward to it. The film is called Vindicating Trump. It is now 6:21 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, liberalism's worst nightmare. So, as Dinesh, I'm sure will discuss when he comes on, what the film deals with. It deals with multiple things, but the unbelievable, unprecedented opposition to Donald Trump from the Democrats, from the media, from the deep state, from the intelligence community, and how they will stop at nothing. And Dinesh really underlines that point. Nothing to make sure he never comes back to power again. And Dinesh gets to the heart of the issue. What are they so afraid of? What is it about Trump that so petrifies the elites, the establishment, and the ruling class? And in fact, he has a very candid discussion with Trump. I believe no one's ever had this kind of a candid discussion with him, where Trump gives his thoughts as well. So I'm looking forward to the movie. I think it's one of the must-see events of the year, and hopefully it will open some people's eyes. So I'm urging everybody, Kuhner Country, if you can, go see the movie, especially this weekend, so it has a huge opening, so we can keep it in the theaters for as long as possible. Now, just very, very quickly, Melania Trump, and I'm going to play some cuts of this later in the show after our interview with Dinesh, has done a very personal interview, and where she talks about her feelings, and especially the 2 assassination attempts. And honestly, it's very heartbreaking. In particular, it was an interview with Fox News, Ainsley Earhart, I believe is how you say her last name. And she talks about how she found out, especially in Butler, that her husband was shot and hit in the ear, in the face. And she tried to reach him, and he wasn't picking up his phone. And she was trying to reach people around Trump, Secret Service, and they weren't picking up their phone. And she didn't know, was my husband dead or alive? And how she then had to tell her son, because Barron walked in and said, what's going on? Is Dad dead? Is Dad dead? And the toll that this is taking on her, on her children, on Trump's family. But as she says, he's determined now to win. He's determined to see this through to the end. And as Melania herself says, this is the most important election maybe in our country's history. That the future of the country is at stake and that Donald Trump will not give up. So you can see now that these assassination attempts, this is not sensationalism for, people's entertainment. These are real human beings who are living in a pressure cooker, who don't know if they're going to live or die every single day, or whether Melania will ever see her husband again, or whether Barron will ever see his father again. So you can see the toll it's taking on the entire Trump team, and especially on the Trump family. And Dinesh D'Souza is going to get into that as well. So look, my friends, there's no question about it now. We have the Ayatollahs in Iran, who are now on the brink of launching a third world war against Israel through their proxy Hezbollah and Hamas. They have now put a bounty on Trump's head. On the Ayatollah's website, his official government website, there is an animated clip of Trump playing golf at one of his golf courses and someone murdering and assassinating him. And in Farsi, in Iranian, in Farsi, they say, revenge is forever. That they'll never forgive Trump for taking out their top general Soleimani and for trying to deny them the path to the nuclear bomb. And so they've literally said, we are trying to assassinate and murder Trump. They have an assassination team, this has now been confirmed, smuggled through our wide open southern border. They're in the United States, and according now to the intelligence community, they are armed with shoulder-fired rockets and missiles. Their goal is to try to blow Trump's plane out of the sky. And as I said, as I ended my last monologue, look, you got to do your campaign. You got to be very smart. You got to make sure nobody knows where you're going. You got to be very careful. But for God's sake, Trump and Vance should never be together, especially together on a plane or in a vehicle, because the goal is to wipe them both out. That's obviously the goal. And the Iranian mullahs now have hacked into the Trump campaign. They did this last week. And they handed all of that sensitive information to Kamala and her people. So think about this. The greatest sponsor of terrorism in the world, our mortal enemy, is colluding with Kamala to not only defeat Trump, but to assassinate Trump. 6:32 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, we're still trying to connect with Dinesh D'Souza. He's scheduled to be on actually right now, but we'll probably connect with him any second. So as we wait to get Dinesh, he's got a brand new film out called Vindicating Trump. It is, in fact, coming out in most theaters today, some theaters last night. As I said, it is an absolute blockbuster of a movie. It is getting phenomenal reviews. He is clearly now one of the great filmmakers, political filmmakers of our time. He's also a best-selling author. We've had him on many, many times before. And so, Mike, do we have Dinesh D'Souza on now? Okay, we got him. Okay. So joining us now, man needs no introduction. He has been on the Kuhner Report here on the great WRKO many times before. Filmmaker, author Dinesh D'Souza. His film coming out today in nearly 1,000 theaters, Vindicating Trump. I will be seeing it with my family. I urge all of you to see it as well. Dinesh, welcome back to the Kuhner Report, and congratulations again on another blockbuster film.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited. The film couldn't be more timely, and it makes a quite original argument for Trump, and one that people haven't really heard. The centerpiece of the film is a one-on-one interview with Trump, which is different in some ways from any other interview that he's done. And the film is also very entertaining and moving and ultimately informative and inspiring.
Well, Dinesh, I've read the reviews, and they are absolutely through the roof, phenomenal. I can't wait to see it tonight with my wife and my 2 kids. Dinesh, you made a comment about Trump. I don't know if it's in the movie, but I know about it regarding discussing the movie, which is that Trump's greatest virtue is courage. And, I think it was very fascinating when you said, look, everybody wants a modified Trump. Don't do tweets. Tone it down a little bit. Be careful. Pull your punches a little bit. And you're saying, no, let Trump be Trump. He is the man for our time, for this hour, exactly how he is. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes, and I'll do it initially by way of an analogy. General Grant, during the Civil War, was criticized for being like a rough-cut guy, a little bit of a savage, a chronic alcoholic, somebody who cussed a lot. Now, here's my point. Were those vices? Yes. But could it be that those vices as well were wrapped up into a very steely, determined personality that was what made Grant so effective on the battlefield? And of course, the relevant question wasn't, did he like whiskey, but could he lead the Union armies to victory? The same thing can be said of Trump. Does the man have vices? Sure, but his vices, first of all, are wildly exaggerated. Oh, he's a playboy. Well, maybe he used to be. No one's claiming he's a playboy now. So the worst you're saying is he's a reformed playboy. He's an egomaniac. Yeah, he does have a healthy ego, but maybe he needs one because when you're attacked the way he is every hour of every day, maybe your ego is part of what insulates you, protects you, allows you to forge ahead. Now, compare Trump's vices, minor as they are, to his courage, his magnanimity, his generosity of spirit. People say that Trump is a bully, but have you ever seen Trump bully someone who's lower than him? No, he doesn't. He never bullies doormen and waiters. He bullies people who are trying to bully him. He's an 800-pound gorilla that takes on other 800-pound gorillas. And there are very few Republicans who do and can. So this is the point. Trump may not be the perfect guy for any time or every time, but he is the perfect guy for our time.
Oh, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Couldn't agree with you more. Dinesh, I really have 2 questions I want to ask you, no matter what, during this interview. Number one, do you think Trump will win in November? Or do you believe, or do you fear that the Democrats will steal the election? What's your take on that?
So these 2 questions, in my view, are connected because I think that if Trump loses, there is, of course, a juggernaut of media propaganda that is aimed at independent voters, trusting in their ignorance and hoping that they have not been paying any attention to what is going on with their pocketbook, with their retirement accounts, with the border, with crime rates. The media is trying to say, ignore all that. Don't trust your lying eyes. We have created this kind of new and improved Kamala Harris. She's not like what you thought before, and she's amazing. So this relies on the gullibility of the audience. And to a degree, it might work. But I think to get Kamala over the top, cheating is going to be essential. And here is where the movie has its most shocking disclosures. Because my premise is that the Democrats cannot cheat in exactly the same way they have before. If they send 2,000 mules in the middle of the night to drop boxes, they're going to be Republicans and patriots standing there waiting for them and recording them on their iPhones, and the whole thing will be busted. So they can't do it the same way. So what I did in this film is I hired 2 investigators, and I put myself in the place of the criminals. And I said, what is the real vulnerability of our election system if I was going to cheat in a new way? If I was going to try to break into Fort Knox, but not the way I did the last time, how would I do it? And we have discovered a grave and serious vulnerability with our election system. It's in a section of the film. The film, by the way, is Vindicating Trump. Website is vindicatingtrump.com, where you can get tickets, we have a section in the film called The Ballot Makers. And wait till you see this with your family, Jeff, you're going to be totally blown away.
Wow. Okay. Dinesh, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you this question, and I know you've been touching on it as well in the lead up to this film. The assassination attempts on Trump. There have been 2 so far. The media has demonized him. They've called him Hitler, a wannabe dictator. They say that America will end if he wins in November, that this will be the last election we ever have. Is the media now paving the way for the possible assassination and murder of Trump? And do you fear that there will be a third assassination attempt? And in particular, I know it's a big question, Dinesh. The Iranians now have put a bounty on Trump's head. Apparently there's an assassination team or multiple assassination teams, our intelligence community have told us, who've penetrated our border, and they want to kill Trump and his family. Do you fear a third assassination attempt, and God forbid, by a foreign power like Iran?
I do, and in the film we look at different forms of assassination. So the left began with character assassination. This was what you just described, the demonization of Trump. Then you went to political assassination, which was the Russia collusion, framing Trump as a traitor. Then legal assassination, which is lawfare, a term derived, of course, from warfare, the attempt to lock Trump up for life, which would be a sort of a death sentence. And then finally, the actual assassination attempts coming after that. And so now, my fear is less to do with a foreign power, because I think that if the country was unified, if you could count on the intelligence agencies and the Secret Service, then the United States is quite capable of thwarting and deterring foreign assassination attempts. What I actually worry about is something more like this. Not, by the way, a conspiracy on the part of, let's say, the Secret Service to kill Trump. No, because frankly, if the intelligence agencies wanted to do that, they're not going to hire 20-year-old Thomas Crooks to pull it off. But it could be that you have in the intelligence agencies and high up in the government people who know that there are kooks out there who want to get Trump. And they know that this guy is patrolling the grounds. Hey, he wants to go up on this roof, take a shot at Trump. Hey, we're just going to leave that roof unguarded. We're going to look the other way. This would be a more passive form of encouraging assassination attempts, letting kooks have their way and just sort of see what happens. So I'm worried that Trump is dependent on a protective apparatus that is controlled 100% by the regime that very much wants to get him, that has been trying to jail him, that has been going after him every which way, that says things like by any means necessary. And these are the people who are supposed to be looking after Trump.
We are talking with Dinesh D'Souza, author, filmmaker. He has another major, very important film out. It's called Vindicating Trump. It's out today in movie theaters all across this country, obviously here in the greater Boston area and across New England. I will be seeing it along with my wife and 2 kids. You can go to vindicatingtrump.com. vindicatingtrump.com. I urge all of you, please see it today, see it this weekend. Dinesh, we've got about a minute left. I've got to ask you, in doing this film, what was the one thing that shocked or surprised you the most?
Let me put it this way. I have had the chance over the last couple of years to see Trump up close and have recognized a number of things about him that are very surprising and run contrary to what people expect. For example, Trump is famously sort of egotistical in public. He loves large crowds, and he's always concerned with, the ratings. However, in private, he is self-deprecating, he is humble, he's a genuinely nice guy. And I was determined in this film through a conversation with Trump to surprise him with questions and bring out aspects of him that people don't normally see. He has a kind of manly resistance to showing his feelings, showing any vulnerability. But I think I'm happy to say, very successful in showing people a side of Trump that he himself doesn't put on public display, but people will be pretty wowed when they see this aspect of him in the film.
Fascinating. Fascinating. Dinesh, I almost need a yes or no answer. November 5th, does Trump win or do the Democrats steal it?
I think Trump will get across the finish line.
From your lips to God's ears. The movie is called Vindicating Trump. See it in movie theaters near you. It's all across the country now, especially here in Boston and New England. Go to vindicatingtrump.com, vindicatingtrump.com. Dinesh, thank you so much for coming on the Kuhner Report. Congratulations once again, and best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dinesh. Okay, you heard Dinesh D'Souza. What did you make of the interview? And will you see the movie either today or this weekend? Your calls, your reaction, next. 6:52 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let me ask you. It is the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's Quality Roofing, Siding, and Windows. Do you think there will be a third assassination attempt on Trump? I'm just curious. Obviously, look, it's not an easy subject, but again, blockbuster news again over the overnight about the assassination teams. One of them now clearly tied to the mullahs in Iran, the Ayatollahs, with 9 shoulder-fired missiles that they are now looking to try to take down Trump's plane. So we have to discuss it because the possibility is very real. And so I want to ask all of you, obviously no one's wishing this, God forbid, but do you think there will be a third assassination attempt? Will there be a third one? A, yes. B, no. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, K-U-H-N as in national E-R. You can also vote via X. I'm very active on X. In fact, I have a bit of a funny little 90-second spot that I did for Window Nation. They asked me to do a little something up on X to help promote the client because they've been such a generous advertiser on our show. But they said, Jeff, we want it to be funny. A little clownish, a little funny. So anyway, it's also up on X. I'd love for you to look at it. Tell me what you think. Remember, the goal is to be funny and, as I said, a little buffoonish. Anyway, my account on X at the Kuhner Report, all one word, K-U-H-N as in national E-R, at the Kuhner Report, K-U-H-N as in national E-R. Do you believe there will be a third assassination attempt on Trump? Okay, so look, I will be seeing the movie. As I said, I'm taking Grace, Ashton, Ava. The kids are excited. Grace is really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a phenomenal movie. All of his films I've enjoyed. This one may be his best, and ultimately maybe his most important, because I think it may change some people's minds. So anyway, I will see the movie and then report back to all of you on Monday if you haven't seen it or don't plan to see it. What I thought was interesting in the interview with Dinesh, and he's a very perceptive, smart observer, a brilliant man, a very intelligent man, is that he, as he put it, they've gone from character assassination to political assassination to legal assassination, which is what lawfare is, and almost a death sentence, put him behind bars for the rest of his life, to now an actual assassination. In fact, 2 actual assassinations. And his theory is that the intelligence community, the Secret Service, out to get Trump, because the regime is out to get Trump, because they fear him, are going to deliberately turn a blind eye, like in Butler, Pennsylvania, and leave, again, or the security breach at West Palm Beach. So as the media uses its immense propaganda power to demonize relentlessly Trump, to dehumanize him, he's Hitler, he's a dictator, an existential threat to democracy, which is really wink, wink, kill him. Wink, wink, assassinate him. This is going to activate so many unstable people. It's inevitable. Filled with hatred, filled with loathing, looking for meaning and purpose in their lives. That they're going to say, yeah, I'm going to take him out and go down as a hero. And if you leave enough of the perimeter unprotected, eventually they'll get him. And so Dinesh's theory is it's kind of a passive form of assassinating Trump, whereby the deep state and the Secret Service don't really do their jobs. They look the other way. They leave areas unguarded and let someone take him out. And this way, not only do you kill Trump, you remove your threat, but your fingerprints are not on it because it was actually a kook that killed him. So Dinesh's theory is, yes, they want him dead, but they want a kook to do it for them. Do you buy that? I'm just curious. Do you agree with Dinesh? Or do you think it's more determined and more nefarious than that? So let me just lay it out, and then I want to go right to the calls. Couple lines are open if you want to jump on. 617-266-6868 is the number. I think it's more diabolical than that. Now, he may be right. I may be wrong. I'm not claiming I know more than he does. I'm just telling you the way I look at the evidence. Here is what I see. I see, according to Matt Gaetz, and this has now been confirmed, 5 assassination teams actively now looking to assassinate and murder the former president. 3 of them are tied to foreign governments. One of them is our arch enemy, Iran, which has been at war with us really since 1979. They are the greatest sponsor of terrorism in the world. They have literally killed thousands of Americans. In Iraq in particular, it was their militias, their proxies, that launched IED attacks after IED attacks, blowing up Americans, maiming, killing, crippling Americans. So this is a deadly, lethal regime, a fanatical regime that, as I said, on their website is vowing to kill Trump with him and his golf course, an animated film, and, like an assassin killing him. And they're saying, revenge is infinite. We'll get you for Soleimani. We'll get you for the sanctions that you put on us. We'll get you for everything you've done to stop us. Now it comes out that this Iranian assassination team came in through our wide open southern border. So the Biden-Harris regime effectively let him in. So we have terrorists that we've let in whose goal and single purpose and mission is to murder and kill Donald Trump. And according to the intelligence community, this is what now has been leaked. They've been forced to admit it. I don't know how they did this, but they smuggled not 1, not 2, not even 3, 9 shoulder-fired missiles. Okay, these Stinger missiles, which can blow a plane right out of the sky. Now, here is where I'm connecting a dot. I'm connecting this dot. Maybe the dot shouldn't be connected. There's no proof that the dot has been connected. But this is what I also know. And this is irrefutable. Because our own intelligence community admitted it, Kamala's people admitted it, and Trump's people admitted it. The Iranian regime hacked into the Trump campaign. They got his schedule. They know when he's going, his rallies, which cities, which towns he'll be going to, on what day, on what time. They know in many ways now the security layout of when he does his rallies, town halls, and campaign events. They also got, as I said, very sensitive information on J.D. Vance. All of this was leaked to the Kamala campaign. Now, number one, before I even say anything else, this is naked, direct, explicit collusion. Forget Trump-Russia collusion, which was a hoax. This is Kamala-Iran collusion. And it's real. And it's irrefutable. Where the hell is the media? Where the hell is... Can you imagine? Forget Iran. If any country... Canada, which they never would, but I'm just saying, if Canada hacked into Kamala's campaign and had sensitive information about her whereabouts, her background, Tim Waltz, the secret personnel file they have on him, and this was leaked to Donald Trump's team, and Trump's people took the info, obviously, the so-called opposition info, the opposition research, it would be 24/7. The media would be going apoplectic. They'd be losing their minds. Hell, they would be calling for his impeachment before he even won. They'd say, if he wins, we impeach. On this, we impeach. Nothing regarding Kamala. Nothing. So they're colluding with the Iranians. They're nakedly colluding now with the Iranians, our mortal enemies, to take down Trump. And now we find out, that there's an Iranian assassination team, probably Hezbollah, who's now looking to blow Trump's plane out of the sky. And his schedule, and his whereabouts, and his security procedures have been leaked to Kamala, which means the moment it goes to Kamala, it goes obviously to Biden, it goes to the CIA, it goes to the FBI, it goes to the entire deep state. So, I'm sorry, if no one has the guts to say it, I'm going to say it. Is this sick, depraved regime, which has bent over backwards to appease Iran, that's a matter of public information? Obama has very close ties to the Iranian mullahs. They love him. Jean-Francois, John Kerry, Pepe Le Pew, very close ties to the Iranian mullahs. Joe Biden, very close ties to the Iranian mullahs. Susan Rice, Valerie Jarrett, very close ties to the Iranian mullahs. Are they working with the Iranians to get President Trump murdered and assassinated? I'm sorry, but to me, all the evidence points to yes. So I don't think it's a passive thing on the part of the deep state. That's where I disagree with Dinesh. And again, you may agree or disagree. I'm just giving you my honest opinion. I think it's active. I think it's very, look, I think they're serious. I think they want him out. And the more they look at the internal polls, and the more they see Trump rising and rising and rising, then I think the more the likelihood there will be another assassination attempt. And look, let me just say this, and I want to go to the phones because they're jammed. This is what my wife, my wonderful wife, Grace, said to me after the second assassination attempt. I'll never forget this. She said, mark my words, they're not going to rely on an assassin's bullet the next time. Next time, it's going to be a high casualty event. In other words, we don't care. If innocent people have to be killed, in other words, if it's a bomb, this is what she said, if it's a bomb, if it's a missile, if it's blowing up his plane, she actually said that, and people are killed on board, she goes, but I'm telling you, they're not going to rely anymore on a lone gunman. And now this breaks? I pray for that man every single day. And I know I've said this twice, but I'm going to say it a third time. J.D. Vance and Donald Trump, if your people are listening, do not have these two men travel together. Because with the one thing they'd want above all, yes, they want Trump dead, no question. But then you still got to deal with J.D. Vance. And then all the sympathy that would come from God forbid, if they JFK the guy and they succeed. So they really want to get both of them. And I'm telling you, if you put both of them, I don't care if it's in a plane, in a vehicle, in a limo, in a whatever, keep those two men as far apart as possible. One in one state, the other one in another state. Never have the two of them together. Because I'm telling you, I think there's going to be an irresistible target for them to try to take both men out at the same time. Just my honest opinion. I have to say it because it's in my chest. It's what I believe. 617-266-6868. Double-barreled question. Number one, will there be a third assassination attempt? Is Dinesh D'Souza right? And number two, is Kamala Harris, Biden, and our CIA and deep state working with the Iranian Ayatollahs to blow Trump's plane out of the sky? 617-266-6868 is the number. In other words, the mullahs have declared a jihad against Donald Trump. Is Kamala now colluding with that jihad? John in Andover. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Hey, thank you, Jeff. What an honor. I'm going to have to say it this way. Yes, yes, yes on every count. Our government, let's face it, it's not the worst government out there, but it's not the best either. We've committed plenty of atrocities. We've killed JFK. We killed his brother Bobby. We've done other assassinations as well. And Donald Trump is just going to be another notch on their belt. The unfortunate reality, in my opinion, is that the American people see it, and the American people will continue to keep this government in power. We'll never change and deviate from the way we vote here in the United States. We'll continue voting Democrat. We'll continue voting Republican, no matter how bad these individuals we're voting for are. And that's the sad part. That's the sad part. Our country's lost, not because of corruption in our government, but because our people have dropped the ball. And that's the real shame. Donald Trump, I love the man. I pray for him. But I'm sorry to have to say, I don't think he'll see November.
Now, I'm just curious, why do you think that, John? You think, the Democrats will steal it?
I think he'll be dead.
Oh, you think, okay. I'm sorry. I thought I kind of missed that. I thought you meant like he won't see victory in November. I'm sorry. So you think there will be a third one, and you think this time they're not going to miss, correct?
Come on. Jeff, if the government wanted to protect Donald Trump, he'd have triple protection on him. There's no way a gunman would get in a bullet's distance from Trump. If the government wanted to protect him, they don't. They don't care. They try to weaponize the judicial system. That failed. And now they're going back to the good old days where it's going to be a bullet in the head in Dallas. And that's the way it is. They don't care. And it's going to be a good example for all the American people to see, because the message is going to be, don't mess with us.
John, Thank you very much for that call. Look, I hope not. I pray not. I believe in the hand of God. I do. And I think, I'm going to play some cuts of Melania, later. It's really riveting. You have to hear it, where she talks about how she couldn't reach Trump, especially after the first assassination attempt. She didn't know if her husband was alive or not. Honestly, it shows you the toll all this has taken, the pressure, the immense pressure they're under. But she said it herself. God protected him that day. Thomas Crooks, a couple 100 yards is nothing when you're dealing with a shooter. To me, as a layperson, initially I said, well, that's pretty far. No, I've gotten myself educated on, marksmanship and shooting. It's considered a layup. Trump should be dead. And that bullet was going straight for the middle of his head. Had he not at the last millisecond turned to the right. So he came very close. He knows it. Melania knows it. His children know it. 7:21 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, it's the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's Quality Roofing, Siding, and Windows. Do you believe there will be a third assassination attempt on Trump? A, yes. B, no. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhn as in National ER. Or if you prefer, you can vote via X. I'm very active on X, including now doing some more like comedy videos. I just did one. I don't think I'm going to do any more, but the client asked me to, and they've been a nice advertiser on the show, Window Nation, so I did. And anyway, you'll see what I mean if you see the video. I'm trying to be a little funny. But anyway, this is no laughing matter, obviously, the assassination attempt on Trump. You can go to @TheKuhner_Report. That's my handle, @TheKuhner_Report. And you can vote there as well. I'm definitely a yes. I'm A all the way. I think it's inevitable. They're going to at least try. And I hope to God they fail and do not succeed again. That's all I can hope for. But I think now there's no question. As Lisa Marie put it in her message on Messenger to me, they're out for blood. The deep state is out for blood. And I agree. The Dems, the media, the deep state, they will do anything now to stop Trump from winning in November. Anything. Maria in Salem. Thanks for holding, Maria, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Maria?
I'm great, thank you. There's so much to be said here, but I'm going to start with a clip that I saw about 6 months ago. And it was a clip, it was a nun who was speaking. And she talked about all of Trump's challenges over the last 4, 5, 6 years. And it was endless. And I'm not going to get into all of them. I think we're all familiar with what this man has been faced with for so many years. And the last thing she said was, if he makes it to the presidency, God's hand is on him. Now, think about this. How many attempted assassinations have we known about that have not been successful over the years? I don't know. John Kennedy, that was successful. Robert Kennedy. I don't think this has ever happened. And he's had 2 attempted assassinations. I don't think that is a mistake at all. And the sooner, okay, let me say something else before I even continue. Well, I'll just say, the sooner that people realize that there is a much higher power out there, stronger than any high political office, stronger than any kind of a bullet, okay? The more they may start to believe that God is in charge here. I believe there will be more attempted assassinations. I believe 3, maybe 4, maybe 5, but I believe that God's power, and he is watching over this man, He has to be. Well, how could he be so safe today? Even when he was in office, I'm aware that there were many attempts on his life. So I just wanted to just remind everybody.
Oh, you're dead on. Look, Maria, you're right. There's no question. Look, look, I believe in God. I'm a devout Catholic. I'm a Christian. If that bothers people, I'm sorry, but that's what I believe. I believe in God. I believe in the hand of God. I believe God has intervened periodically throughout history. I just do. I believe and I know the founding fathers did. They said there's no way they could have beaten the British without belief and faith in God. They go, it really was that faith that carried them through that 7-year war. That was a 7-year war for national independence. Lincoln believed that God played a huge hand in the victory of the Union over the South. FDR believed in God and the victory of the Allies over Nazi Germany. So what I'm saying is this is nothing new. But look, there's no question. Not the last time there was a serious assassination attempt was on Reagan, prior to Trump. Under Trump, we've now had 2. So for 40 years, nothing. After Reagan, 40 years. Now it's 2, and in less than 60 days apart. What's happening is the media, there's no question now, have so inflamed hatred, this climate of hatred in our country for Trump, that the kooks are coming out of the woodwork. And you combine that with the fact that there clearly is a mole within the Secret Service, within the FBI, who obviously are leaving Trump vulnerable. And that's how you got those 2 assassination attempts. And the kooks are still there. The media hasn't stopped with their demonization campaign. If anything, it's getting even worse. And those moles are still there. So there's going to be more. The only question is, will they succeed or not? 7:31 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. You can also text the Kuhner Man, 70470, 70470. And as always, you can message me on Messenger. This is from Eric, and he makes an absolutely superb point. Jeff, due to the Iranian threats that have now been confirmed, Joe Biden should triple the Secret Service protection to Trump's entire family. Because if something happens to any one of his family members, it would take Trump out of the run mentally. Now, I agree. Eric, I completely agree. They should triple the protection around Trump, obviously. And, of course, for Melania, the children, everybody. But they're not. They're not. So what does that tell you? To me, that's... Now, to be fair, Congress did vote unanimously to spend more money on the Secret Service, to bolster their ranks, to add some more agents. So hopefully they will bolster Trump's protection a little bit. But as things stand right now, his protection's not being doubled, never mind tripled. And to me, that says everything you need to know. To me, that's, sometimes what you don't do reveals exactly what you want to do. 617-266-6868. This is an absolute doozy. It's from a good, very dear friend of mine. 781. Jeff, my take on all of this is whether there's a successful or failed assassination attempt or a stolen election. It's ultimately about goading patriots directed by deep state provocateurs to some kind of violence as the pretext for the mother of all roundups. And trust me, you, Kuhner Man, will be on that list. I agree with him. I think there's no question. I think there's absolutely no question. And you don't even have to even take my word for it. Hillary Clinton wrote a major op-ed piece in the Washington Post. I believe it was either yesterday or the day before. Again, please, it was either Wednesday or Thursday. Don't quote me. Last 24 to 48 hours. In which she doubled down on using the term deplorables to describe half of Trump's supporters. In fact, as she put it in her op-ed piece, it was too kind a word. And if you remember, and she says this in the piece, they're not just racist, we're not just sexist, or homophobic, or xenophobic, or Islamophobic, but as she said, we're irredeemable. Irredeemable. And then, and this is the chilling part, she says, you know, I met somebody who used to be a white supremacist. This is what she writes in her op-ed piece. But he left the white supremacy movement. And what he does now is he deprograms. He's a deprogrammer for people who used to be in cults or in white supremacist movements or cults. And she says, that's what we need for Trump supporters. We need to start force them to be deprogrammed of all of their bigotry, racism, and hatred. We need a quote-unquote national deprogramming movement. Round us up and deprogram us. Now, as many people rightly said immediately, that's literally a page from the Bolsheviks. That's what they called them gulags. Why do you think people were sent to the gulags? Because they didn't believe in the revolution. They didn't believe in the proletariat and the party and communism, as they say in Russian. So there must be something mentally wrong with you. You're crazy. You're defective. There's something, we have to unbrainwash you. We have to deprogram you. That's why literally, that's why they send them to the gulags. That's what they were. They were deprogramming camps. That's what she's calling for. Communist China, by the way, they do the exact same thing. Well, how could you not believe in the revolution? There's got to be something wrong with you. And that's why they have all of these quote-unquote re-education camps. They're gulags. Re-education camps, as they call them, all across the country. Now, this is Hillary Clinton, who, by the way, is going to be Secretary of State or Secretary of Defense in a Kamala Harris presidency, if they steal this thing in November. In the Washington Post, which, by the way, is the mouthpiece for the deep state. But there's no question. It is the organ, along with the New York Times, of the Democratic Party and the CIA, NSA, FBI, deep state. Everything the intelligence community wants or says is leaked to either the Washington Post or the New York Times. It is literally our Pravda and Izvestia, our versions of Pravda and Izvestia. So when a major Democrat oligarch comes out and says, I don't regret calling them deplorables. In fact, she goes, no, that was the objective truth. In fact, if anything, it was too kind a word. What she's really saying is, we're Nazi scum. We're Nazi scum. And now we need to be forcibly deprogrammed, i.e. rounded up and deprogrammed. And so I agree with 781 completely. Completely. They want to create an incident, whether it's stealing the election, whether it's, killing Trump, whatever it is, and then to get such a reaction out of us that they say, you see, look, terrorists, fascists, Nazis, insurrectionists. That's exactly what they want. Let me leave you all with this, okay, before I go back to the phones. I want to leave this for you to mull over. Latest poll out. Over half of Democrats polled. Now remember, you're talking to a pollster. You're talking to another person on the phone. This is not you at home in the privacy of your bedroom or whatever, and you're just thinking. This is you admitting this to another person. Over half of all Democrats, I think it's 54%, said they wish Trump was killed, or they're not sure whether he should be killed or not. In other words, those two assassination attempts, it doesn't bother us at all. It doesn't bother us at all. Good. Put a bullet in the guy. End it. Let's move on. That's 53% who are willing to admit it to a pollster. I'm telling you, that figure is actually much higher. I guarantee it. Now, these are ordinary Democrats. If they're saying, we want him dead, what the hell do you think some crazy unstable kook who's a loser and a nobody, who now could be world famous instantaneously, all he's got to do is finish what Thomas Crooks or Ryan Ruth started. They're playing with fire. So do I think there's going to be a third assassination attempt? I'd bet the house on it. Edmund in Arlington. Thanks for holding, Edmund, and welcome.
Jeff, I love waiting for you, and I love when you say hello and welcome.
Well, welcome, Edmund.
Well, you're a sweetheart, and listen. You don't have to listen, but you can listen. I waited an hour and a half to speak to you, so let me
Go ahead, Edmund. The floor is yours. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. They will go after him again. It's almost that like Jeff. If you and I were in Little League and we were 0 for 2 and we took that last swing, right? They're going to go after him again, and they're going to try and take him out. That's all they have to do is take him out, and then their full complement of evil will fall into place. If they don't take him out, then he will rise like an eagle, and we will all rally around him. But they will try to kill him again. 0 for 2.
Oh, you're right. Look, Edmund, the way you phrase it like that, if I'm 0 for 2, if you're 0 for 2, you're like, I'm taking another swing. I mean, at this point, really, what do the Democrats and the deep staters have to lose? For them, everything. 750 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, liberalism's worst nightmare. Okay, just very quickly. My thoughts and prayers are with the people in Florida, obviously, North Carolina, Georgia, on Hurricane Helene. I know it's ravaging parts of Florida, and it's a Category 4 hurricane. So please, we have a lot of listeners in that part of the country. Please stay safe, be very careful, and take every single precaution that you can. And speaking of Florida, let's go to Gene in Florida. Gene, thanks for holding and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Gene. Please tell me you're not near the hurricane.
No, we're doing fine. We're more inland, and we just have branches down. We're doing fine.
Okay, good.
I just want to say that Biden met with Zelensky yesterday and gave him like $2.something billion. And Trump had a press conference yesterday at Trump Towers saying that he was going to meet with Zelensky today at Trump Towers. So, my concern is, right before the election, and now that he just got the money from Biden, and now he's going to meet with Trump, and but my concern is for Trump's safety. because because of the security, and he isn't, president yet. And, I just worry about Zelensky being, at the Trump Towers and, the security around him, or I hate to be conspiracist, but what would he bring with him?
Well, Zelensky's a snake. I don't trust Zelensky. I think he's a CIA asset. We own him, and he's blackmailing us. So, and he went into Washington, D.C., he met with Kamala Harris. I have the clips. I may play them later. I may not. But she used him as a campaign prop. There's no question now. This is, again, direct foreign election interference. And they're using him as a campaign surrogate. And he's allowing himself to be used as a campaign surrogate. And by the way, Biden apparently found another $8 billion on top of the $2 billion to give to Zelensky and his crooks. So I don't trust Zelensky as far as I can throw him. I would be shocked if they tried something on Trump today, because Zelensky has a ton of security. Trump is, got security. Obviously, it's Trump Tower. I think it's very high risk. No, and by the way, I think it was Trump that wanted the meeting. And I think the reason why Trump wants the meeting, and I don't blame him, is to put Zelensky in his place, saying, how dare you interfere in this election? How dare you attack me in the middle of a campaign in a key swing state like Pennsylvania, and go after J.D. Vance and attack him as dangerous and radical and basically endorse Kamala Harris. And I think Trump's going to tell him, when I win in November, I'm not going to forget this. And he's going to take Zelensky to the woodshed. I mean, that's my reading of the situation, and he should. So I think that's what that meeting is all about. But look, Gene, I don't trust Zelensky. I don't trust the people near Zelensky. From what I've heard, one of those assassination teams is tied to the Ukrainian regime. It's tied to Zelensky and his people. So, look, what's stunning, Gene, is how many people now, how many foreign governments Kamala and Biden are working and colluding with who want Trump dead. This is unprecedented. Nothing like this has ever happened in American history. So you're right. If I'm him, watch my back at all times. But I wouldn't worry. Look, Gene, you may be right. I'm just giving you my honest opinion. I wouldn't worry about meeting Zelensky. I wouldn't. I'd be worried about being in New York. I would be worried about that. I'd be worried that the UN has got that, they're meeting everybody, all these dignitaries. These dignitaries are there. Apparently Netanyahu is coming to New York to speak. So if the Iranians are going to make their move, it may be in New York. So I would be more worried about his meeting with Netanyahu than his meeting with Zelensky. Final word to you, Gene.
A handshake, maybe conspiracy, I don't know, a handshake, anything, he comes down sick shortly after. I don't know what this guy will have on him or whichever, I just think it's, dangerous at this point, the way they all want to kill him. So whatever way it's going to go, whatever they use.
No, I agree with you. Look, Gene, if I were him, I would take every extra precaution. I would. I probably wouldn't meet with foreign leaders. I would, if I had to talk to them, I'd do it by phone. But I think the reason why Trump wants it face to face with Zelensky is he doesn't want anybody else overhearing. It's going to be him, one translator, and Zelensky in a room. And I think Trump's going to tear him a new one. And frankly, I hope Trump tears him a new one. Because what he did was an unbelievable betrayal. It really is. And Gene, I got to say this, because I know this for a fact. I know it for a fact. Trump has been telling his people in private, we're going to get a negotiated peace deal, a settlement. And Ukraine will have, and these are the words that he's used, Ukraine will have peace with honor. He kept saying that. Peace with honor. And he said, if Putin thinks he's going to get the store, If Putin thinks I'm just going to hand him over all this Ukrainian land and territory, he's got another thing coming. He may get a little bit. He may get some slither of territories. I got to give him something. But Ukraine will emerge very strong from this peace deal that I'm going to set up. And this SOB stabs Trump in the back like that after all the money that we've spent, all the money that we've sent, that Republicans have helped send on Capitol Hill, our taxpayer money, Gene, that you've sent, I've sent, that's our money. And he endorses Kamala, essentially, and stabs Trump and Vance right in the back, bad-mouthing and trashing them. I'm sorry, it's unforgivable. 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 No. My advice to Trump is, from this point forward, there's no peace with honor. You're just getting peace. That's it. And no more money. You're not getting another penny. Someone needs to teach that punk a lesson. So, anyway, he thinks the tail is going to wag the dog. It doesn't work like that. 617-266-6868 is the number. So, anyway, they are meeting today. Netanyahu will be addressing the UN the General Assembly today. All eyes will be on both of them, what's going to happen. And obviously, huge war now is brewing in the Middle East. There is a major ground offensive that Israel is about to launch. Massive, punishing, crippling airstrikes. They have been pounding Beirut, pounding Hezbollah positions all across Lebanon. And Netanyahu has now told Biden in private, we're not going to hold back. We've got Hezbollah on the ropes. We're going to move in. We're going to finish them off. Iran has now said, you move into Lebanon, we move against Israel. So, and I'm positive Netanyahu is going to be meeting with President Trump. I guarantee it. So, this is the state of the world under the Harris-Biden regime. More war, more bloodshed, more dead. Sal in Wakefield. Thanks for holding, Sal, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Sal.
Where is the GOP, the Republican Party, with all this going on with these, the assassinations? I mean, they've allowed the media to basically erase the first attempt in Butler from history. I mean, they want to forget about that, and they're actually allowing it. Talk about a go-along to get-along party. In my lifetime, since I've been paying attention, it's never been this bad. I mean, it's unbelievable. And the left want us to believe that the MAGA, the right wing, is the party of the people, the domestic threat to America. What happened after he was shot in the ear, almost killed? There were no riots. There was no, we weren't burning cities to the ground like the summer of 2020. But yet they want us to believe that the MAGA movement is the domestic threat. And, when you drive around towns and you see hate has no home here signs, yeah, only if you agree with their politics, then hate has no home. It's incredible. And once again, can you imagine if the dear leader was giving a speech and shot in the ear? Cities would still be burning to this day on the first attempt. They'd be burning every night.
Sal, you're on fire. Can you do me a big favor? Hang on. I've got to do Kuhner's call log. It's 8 o'clock, but I'm going to come right back to you. I promise. Okay, 8 o'clock. You know what that means? Caller of the week, Kuhner's call log.
It's time for Kuhner's call log, where we showcase our favorite caller from the week.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Thanks for holding, Pauline.
Prior to COVID, the Lord gave me a message to tell the people that something was coming that has never happened before. And what I'm to do is tell them, but I didn't know what it was. So I rode the trains and the buses, and I told the people just the same. COVID-19 came. However, after COVID-19, I think it was Bill Gates and the oligarchs. They had a meeting there in Germany, I think it was. And I heard with my own ears, Bill Gates says that the world is overpopulated by 3 million people, and they have to get rid of them. The second one, we are not fighting Russia or China. The fight is between America and Rome. Rome is the leader in everything that's going on. That's biblical. This is a fight between good and evil, and this is a prophetic election. In 2015, the Lord showed me that Mr. Trump would win the election. On June 10th, the Lord released me and said, I release you today as a prophet to the nation. But another sister said she saw the dog speaking, and the dog said, I'm coming back, I'm coming back. The dog was tied to a post, and the dog said, I'm coming back, I'm coming back. So that's the reason why I'm saying this is prophetic.
And next week, it could be you on Kuhner's Call Log.
Please, don't be a stranger. Call again. So a dog told her she was a prophet. A dog tied to a post. You're a prophet. You're the second coming of Jesus. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, let's go right back to Sal in Wakefield. Sal, you were describing very powerfully how Trump gets shot, MAGA does nothing. It's MAGA that keeps getting persecuted. You have Black Lives Matter, Antifa, the left. They're the ones rioting. Take the George Floyd riots of the summer of 2020. You have these Hamas fanatics protesting at universities, attacking Jewish students, blocking traffic. If Obama was shot in the ear, they would still be burning buildings. And I got to tell you, as you were talking, Sal, let me tell you exactly what came up to my mind. Okay, this is what came to my mind. The Jews in Nazi Germany, they were always scapegoated. Always scapegoated. The Jews are the threat. The Jews are the menace. The Jews are the danger. But who was doing all the violence? It was the brown shirts. It was the Nazi thugs on the streets. They were the ones looting, plundering, beating, killing, assaulting. And yet always it was the Jews in the media, in the German media, that was painted as the great menace to society. That's what they've now done to MAGA. The same technique that was used against the Jews, the constant propaganda, the constant vilification, the constant dehumanization, the constant climate of absolute fear and hatred, to the point that in Germany, they're like, you just say the word Jew, and because they were so constantly brainwashed. Well, that's what it is. You go Trump or MAGA, And, you said something earlier. You said, they always have these ridiculous signs. Hate has no home here. Yeah, you're right, unless you disagree with them. And when you disagree with their politics, oh my God, there's nobody more intolerant than a liberal. Nobody. As I said a couple shows ago, it's left-wing political fundamentalism. That's what it is. They're political fundamentalists. And like an Islamic fundamentalist, there's no hate there too. Believe me. If you agree with them, no problem. But the moment you disagree with them, it's jihad, jihad, jihad. Well, it's the same thing with these liberal fundamentalists. It's jihad, jihad, jihad. So, Sal, really, in many ways, we are being so dehumanized that we are now becoming what the Jews were under Nazi Germany. Am I wrong?
No, you're right, Jeff. And we've been hearing it for how many years? To follow Trump or MAGA, it's a cult. You're in a cult. Well, Jeff, I didn't like Obama. I don't like his policies. Biden, his policies, Kamala, none of them. Hillary Clinton. I don't want them dead. Trump has a wife, children, grandchildren. They want him dead. That's a cult mentality right there. Are you kidding me? I don't want Obama dead. I don't want any of these Democrats dead. They're the cult. They're crazy.
That, what you're describing is the mind of a fanatic, of a zealot. And you're right. That's the mind of a cult member. That's what it is to be in a cult. So you're right. Everything, what I find amazing is everything, Sal, they accuse us of, it's what they're guilty of. And I agree with you. I don't wish Hillary dead. I don't wish Obama dead. I don't wish Biden dead. I don't wish Kamala dead. I certainly don't wish their families dead. I don't wish their supporters dead. I don't wish their voters dead. I just want them to lose the election so they don't destroy my country. That's it. That's it. That's all I want. But they want more. As Hillary said, we have to now be reprogrammed. They want more, Sal, and they're not going to stop. Sal, thank you very much for that call. 617-266-6868 is the number. Ed in Worcester. Thanks for holding, Ed, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Ed.
They're not going to stop. There's too much money in this. The New World Order is right around the corner, and they can see it, and they're going to do anything and everything they can to get it done. Simple as that.
Ed, let me run a theory by you. And it's a theory that many in Kuhner country have been texting me now for about a good hour and a half. Now that news has broken about this Iranian assassination team that has infiltrated our country, they're looking now to kill Trump. They have apparently 9 shoulder-fired missiles on them, and they want to blow his plane out of the sky. And this is what many people in Kuhner country are thinking. And I got to tell you, I don't think it's ridiculous. Far from it. I think it's actually quite plausible. What if, because this is being leaked by the intelligence community. Okay, they're the ones saying, no, it's true. We admit it. It's true. And we're trying to track these Iranians down. What if the deep state has now made a decision? Really, they've crossed the Rubicon. We got to take Trump out. He's too close to victory. We think we can't stop him. He's going to win in November. We're not going to leave it now to some crazy kook like, Crooks or Ryan Ruth. No. We're going to do this ourselves. It's going to be professional. It's going to be a deep state assassination job. Trump's days are now numbered. However, we're going to do it and then pin it on the Iranians. And this way, we kill 2 birds with 1 stone. 1, we eliminate Trump once and for all. So the threat to us is now over. But number 2, by blaming or pinning it on the mullahs and the Iranians, we can use that to justify World War III against Iran. And in fact, we can even most likely enlist or co-opt most Trump supporters. Because the way we'll sell the war is, hey, we're going after the country that got your guy. They're the ones with Trump's blood on their hands. So you gotta support our war. Because essentially we're defending you. We're gonna go to war with Iran over you. They killed Trump. We're going to attack Iran. We've got an all-out war in the Middle East. We're going to bury the mullahs once and for all. Everyone has to rally around the flag. And you Trump supporters, you should be backing us fully because we're going to take out the regime that took out your candidate. So you get Trump gone and you get the war that you've always wanted. What say you, Ed?
I don't think it's the war we always wanted. I mean, to be honest with you, the next war, we're just a moment, a heartbeat away from it. But I think that will be a nuclear war, and I don't want to see that happen. they're going to do whatever they can to take him out. There will be other attempts. And, just like 9/11 and the previous attacks on the towers, if you don't succeed, try again. There's too much money and there's too many people owing favors.
Oh, I agree. Well, there's so much on the line for them. Ed, thank you very much for that call. No, I don't mean the war that you and I want. I mean the war that the deep state wants. They want a big war. And killing Trump and pinning it on Iran, best way to do it. 821 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, the country is now waking up to the bombshell news. Our intelligence community has confirmed it. President Trump, it appears, has confirmed it as well. So here is now the absolute latest. There are multiple assassination teams that have now penetrated our wide open southern border. One of them is a team that allegedly has been sent by the mullahs in Tehran. They have 9 shoulder-fired missiles that they have been able to smuggle into the country, and that they are deliberately now targeting Trump Force One, Trump's plane. Apparently the goal is to blow it out of the sky. A lot of people now are very concerned about Trump's safety and what this means in the next couple of days. And there's video now resurfacing. If you remember, we played it on this show, of an Islamic terrorist who came in right through the wide open southern border. And he said, "You don't know who I am, but you will know who I am soon. Soon you will know who I am." Now, we know that there are dozens of Hezbollah operatives, cells that have now come in through our wide open southern border. They have now positioned themselves in many places around our country, key cities. And it looks now like the mullahs have put a target on Trump, a bounty on Trump's head. And so we shall see what's going to happen. But the Iranian regime as well has hacked into Trump's campaign. They have now taken and stolen, pilfered really, much of their information on Trump's schedule, his rallies, his town halls, his security details, apparently also a lot of sensitive information on J.D. Vance. And this was sent to the Kamala Harris campaign. So the Kamala campaign is actively colluding with the Iranian mullahs to take down Donald Trump. 617-266-6868, which now begs the question. In fact, I think the whole country is now asking the question, will there be a third assassination attempt? What say you? 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, lines are loaded. Jose in Quincy. Thanks for holding, Jose, and welcome.
Jeff, it was great to meet you at the State House rally. I know it was a while ago, but you rocked it.
Thank you. Thank you, Jose.
Now listen, as far as assassination attempts, take your regular, everyday, brainwashed liberal Democrat, like my neighbor, who has every flag flying but the American one. He's got Ukraine, he's got the transgender, he's got everything. Take them, for example. Why would assassination attempts bother Democrats when flooding the country with illegals doesn't? Destroying our pipelines, bringing us $2 a gallon doesn't? When sexualizing our kids doesn't bother them? When millions dead in Ukraine doesn't bother them? An installed puppet like Kamala doesn't bother them? They're all in on it. Kamala Harris should stand up before the microphones and say, I don't belong here. This is a joke. If she had a shred of dignity, Jeff, she would stand up and say, I can't do this. I don't belong. I don't belong here. I'm not qualified. I should go. What say you, Jeff?
Oh, you're dead. You stole my thunder. I mean, Jose, literally, I couldn't have said it better myself. No, and look, Jose, when the first Trump assassination attempt took place, I cannot tell you how many emails I got, text messages, on Facebook, whatever, people saying, Jeff, you know, I was at a party or a family gathering or with friends or whatever. And, you know, many of them are liberal. Okay, we don't share the same politics. When the news broke of what happened in Butler, we all ran to the TV screen. And to my shock and horror, it was story after story after story that the liberals in the room said, they didn't get him? Why didn't they get him? Oh, this could have been a perfect day. This could have been the best day of the year. And they were all laughing and giggling. If I had $1 for every time somebody told me a variant of that story, I'd be a millionaire today, Jose. The point being that I can't tell you how many audience members told me, Jeff, my God, they don't just want him dead. They were going to dance on the streets in joy if they could manage to kill him. That's how sick many of them are. 8:31 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, just very quickly, an absolutely riveting interview. Riveting. Melania Trump was on with Ainsley Earhart, Fox News. And she talks about both assassination attempts. And when she found out about it, how incredibly fearful she was for her husband, her children, her whole family. And I just want you to listen to part of it because it really shows to you what the Trump family has had to endure and the immense pressure that they've all been under. Listen to her now talking about seeing the first assassination attempt on television. And then, you know, she's eventually told by the campaign, you know, thank the Lord, Trump is all right. Roll cut 1, Mike.
You write about watching the assassination attempt on TV, and you started working, and you were distracted, so you pushed pause. So you didn't see that first assassination attempt, and someone called you, I think your chief of staff maybe called you and said, he's okay, but there's been a shooting. What happened next?
I ran to the TV and I rewinded and I watched it. I was only a few minutes behind, and something, I guess, looked over me, so I didn't really see live, but maybe, 3 minutes, few minutes later. But when I saw it, it was only, nobody really knew yet, right? Because when you see him on the floor and you don't know what really happened.
So she doesn't know. She's thinking, is my husband dead? Did the bullet pierce his brain? Where is he? Is he bleeding to death? Where is he? So listen to her now saying she tries to call her husband and the Secret Service, but nobody's picking up the phone. Roll cut 1A, Mike.
You called him and he didn't answer his phone, and you called Secret Service. Mm-hmm. And what did they say?
First, the Secret Service was not available too because they were with him, right? And then after that, I got the Secret Service on the phone, and they said that he's okay. We are on the way to the hospital. He will be okay.
And were you able to talk to him on the phone eventually?
Yes, I did.
And then your son rushes into the room.
Yes.
And he had been told, your son is in college, I understand, but he's still your child. This is his father. How difficult was that to have that conversation?
Very difficult. Very difficult. He was outside playing sport, mm-hmm. and he rushed in, and was very, very difficult.
And then she's asked about the second assassination attempt. And listen to the way now she characterizes both assassination attempts. I'm going to let her speak in her own words. Roll cut 2, Mike.
And then a few weeks later, there's another attempt on your husband's life at your golf course. Mm-hmm. Where were you, and what was your reaction to this attempt?
I was in New York City, actually, and I saw it on the television. And as soon as I saw it on television, I called again. And he was okay because Secret Service were great. The guys that they were with him, they were fantastic. And I think both of the events, they were really miracles. If you really think about it, the July 13 was a miracle, like that much, and he could not be with us.
Now, when she goes that much, she raises her fingers. She puts her fingers out, and there's maybe like a centimeter, between her two fingers. And she's saying literally that was it. That small distance was what determined life or death for my husband. And listen now to Melania saying, you really want to know the truth? Here's the truth. I believe there's a higher power. And I believe that the Lord saved my husband's life that day. Roll cut 2A, Mike.
He said it was providential. Does this make you believe in it more, in a higher power? How has that been for you?
I think something was watching over him. Mm-hmm. I think it's almost like country really needs him.
That maybe God's sparing his life?
Yes.
So she's convinced, and I know Trump is convinced, that God spared him that day because the country needs him. I mean, it's very powerful, I have to say, and very moving. Now, just very quickly, okay, I found these were a couple of very interesting cuts that I want to play. She says, look, she's very pragmatic. She says, I'm just asking the American people, look, remember what life was like under my husband's administration. Just compare the 4 years under him with the 4 years under Kamala and Biden. Listen now to Melania. Roll cut 3A, Mike.
If we compare these 4 years under this administration compared to 4 years under my husband as commander-in-chief, he was leading the country through peace, through strength. And the border was safer than ever before. We didn't have any wars. People were prospering. They had jobs. They could support their families.
She's completely right. She's completely right. And so now this is what I thought was a bit interesting and a bit funny. She says, look, you got to decide what you really want. And then she says, well, maybe you're not crazy about the tweeting. I thought that was funny. It's almost like you can say, I'm not really that big a fan either. The way she kind of implies it, But look, forget the tweets. Everything else was phenomenal. Listen now to Melania. Roll cut 3B, Mike.
So I think American people need to decide what they really want. Maybe some, strong tweets, but everything else great for this country. So it's all in the Americans, people's hands.
She's right. I mean, it's in our hands. It really is. But I just thought it was funny. It was like, you can almost get the, if you get more access, you'd be like, well, come on, what were some of the tweets that got under your skin? I bet she would even tell you, So she's basically saying, well, look, hey, okay, yeah, a couple of those tweets, I'm not crazy about either. But hey, Everything else was great. In other words, who cares about a couple of tweets? Okay, he blows his top a couple times, and he starts fighting with these Hollywood celebrities. I wish he wouldn't do it. But outside of that, you're crazy not to re-elect him. Now, I want to play one last cut. And she's now been very vocal about this, that the media's defamation campaign, this demonization campaign, this dehumanization campaign against her husband, she says has clearly laid the groundwork for the hatred and these assassination attempts. She says there's no question that the media and the Democrats bear primary responsibility. And now she says this: we know that the Iranians want to assassinate my husband, and yet strangely, the media is silent. Now, I'm gonna play the cut, but she's leaving the door open. She's basically saying, do they want my husband dead? Because that's what it seems like to me. She doesn't quite say it. It's more implicit than explicit. Anyway, let me play the cut and you be the judge. Roll cut 5, Mike.
We were told this week, and we were told that authorities have already known this for a while, that there was an Iranian plot to kill your husband. So I watched this video that you released on social media questioning the first assassination attempt. For the second one, if they knew that there was this plot, why didn't they sweep the golf course?
You know, it's interesting how quiet everything became, all of the mainstream media. There were a few days reporting about July 13 event, and everything then became quiet. So I had a lot of questions. What's going on? This is not normal. And is it really shocking that all this egregious violence goes against my husband? Especially that we hear the leaders from the opposition party, mainstream media, branding him as a threat to democracy.
She's saying, as far as she can say it, they want my husband dead. Your calls, your reaction next. 8:49 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up the liberal bull. 617-266-6868. Bob in Raynham. Thanks for holding, Bob, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. How's it going?
Good. How are you, Bob? Good.
I'd like to say a few things. The first thing is, we normal people, we can't even go into the minds of the evil that is inside these people's head. First of all, they unleashed COVID on us, which killed, millions of elderly Americans, to get rid of President Trump the first time. And now, so they got rid of him. The people on January 6th were vilified, but I think the people on January 6th, and I'm not talking about the ones that went into the Capitol, they could foresee what this Biden administration was going to do, and sure enough, it did it. It allowed our country to be invaded and, destroyed our economy and everything else. And then another point I'd like to make is I think we almost have three societies now. We have a society that's completely reliant on the government, who are going to vote Democrat all the time. You have all of these municipal employees that are paid by the government, so they're afraid to open their mouth. And I'm talking about the police, the fire, everybody, and they're all in on the Democrat bandwagon. And then you have the childless kids, as what's his name said, the vice president, that they have no children, they have no future in the game. They're living for the here and now. And then there's us, who are fighting for the country that we grew up in, and and for our children to have the same life that we had. And I just don't understand how anyone could ever pull the lever for that idiot. Well, I mean, I know why they're doing it, but I just explained it. But that's what we're up against, I guess.
No, look, Bob, it's very depressing. I mean, look, I believe Trump's going to win. I do. That's why one of the reasons why I'm going to see the movie tonight, Vindicating Trump. Dinesh D'Souza's new, it's a masterpiece. That's what I've read from the reviews. Because, and I'm bringing my kids with me. It's not just Grace that's going to join me. It's going to be my Ashton and my Ava. Because I want them to see what a real president is and what he wants to do for the country. And hopefully they're going to learn something and appreciate what Trump is doing. And they'll remember this when they grow older. But what I find incredible, and I think he is going to win. I really do. But what I find incredible is how many people are going to vote for Kamala. And I mean, the woman is dumb as a doorknob. She's blatantly unqualified. There's no question. Just so patently unqualified. And that they would still vote for her, it's frightening. It's really very scary. And look, our founding fathers warned us. We forget about this. But it wasn't just George Washington. It was Thomas Jefferson. It was Hamilton. It was Franklin. It was James Madison, the father of our Constitution. All of them said over and over again, what we have created here is something very rare. Very rare. It's exceptional. It is a constitutional republic. We did not create a democracy. They were adamant on that point. Because they looked at ancient Athens, they looked at Greek city-states, they looked at ancient Rome, and they said what happens is eventually you have democracy. Democracy eventually comes out of republics, they degenerate into democracies. That's the word they use, degenerate. And what a democracy is, it's the rule of the mob. The term they used was the rabble. It's the rule of the mob. Now, we call that low information voters, welfare deadbeats, what you were describing. People who are so dependent upon government, they'll vote for anybody. It doesn't matter how bad. Just keep that check coming. So they said, you don't understand. That's not what we're creating here. Because that always ends in failure. Because what happens is, and Madison laid it out, he goes, eventually, the majority realizes that they can plunder and tax and take from the minority until they just keep enriching themselves to the point that you drive a society bankrupt. Well, that's what they've done. They've made so many takers, the illegals that they've now imported by the tens of millions, all these people now reliant upon the government, that they're bleeding us dry. It's pure discrimination. The people that are really discriminated against, honestly, are you and me. It's the hardworking taxpayers of this country. They are stealing our money to subsidize their political voters. That's what the Democrats are doing. Now, after a while, you run out of our money. You just tax us and oppress us and oppress us, that the whole thing goes kaput. And then eventually you end up getting a dictatorship. That's what the founding fathers warned us. They go, it happens over and over. They go, it's like a pattern because we can predict it. It's like an iron law of history. So they said, whatever you do not create a democracy because you're guaranteeing it's going to end in disaster and failure. Well, what have we done? We're becoming more and more, quote unquote, democratic. And if you look at the Democrats now, what's their final plan now under Kamala? This is it. The final transformation. Okay. Pack the Supreme Court. Go from 9 justices to 15. So wipe out the checks and balances. Gone. Okay. What's the next plan? Give amnesty to illegals. So we guarantee one-party rule forever. So there you go. The republic is gone. Put Puerto Rico and D.C. as states. Why? That gives them 4 extra Democrat senators in perpetuity. So now the Senate is gone. So what they're doing, and then, by the way, federalize elections, universal mail-in balloting, so you guarantee voter fraud. Get rid of all state voter IDs. So the vote is rigged over and over and over and over and over. There will be no opposition. There can be no opposition party. It is permanent one-party rule. Now, this is going to work for a while. What I mean by work is the country will continue. But after a while, what do you think happens? We become a third world banana republic. There's no more tax money. You've destroyed the middle and working class. You've broken us. You've broken our back. Now, the founding fathers warned about this over and over and over and over. Nobody reads the founding fathers. Nobody knows any history. We don't teach the founding fathers. We don't teach the Constitution. We don't teach the Bill of Rights. We don't teach the American Revolution. Never mind the Constitutional Convention. And I got to tell you, I think, Bob, to give the devil its due, okay? The left were brilliant on this. They knew that the key to taking over the country, and look how patient they were. In the 1960s, they made their push for the revolution, and it failed. There was just too much opposition. So they said right away, the long march through the institutions. If we seize the culture, the state will fall in our hands like a ripe fruit. That was the expression they used. But they said the key institutions, the schools, colleges, universities, brainwash and indoctrinate the youth. Start from kindergarten and don't let up. But it's not just what they teach, it's what they don't teach. That's what they figured out. And they said, no, you don't teach the Constitution. You don't teach the Bill of Rights. You don't teach them the founding fathers. This way you un-Americanize them. They don't know their birthright as Americans. And then we fill their heads with all kind of garbage. Marxist propaganda. And here they are. I mean, they're on the brink. They're on the cusp. We're the last line, literally, we're now the last line of defense. They did it. They got the colleges and the universities. They got the schools, elementary, middle, high schools, public education. It's all theirs. They got Hollywood, all of it. Pop culture, all of it. The media, pretty much 99% of it. What don't they have? They have corporate America. They have their woke DEI agenda now entrenched in corporate America. Big business now is Wall Street is solidly now on the side of Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party. So we're the last line of defense. As you said, we're fighting for a country that we grew up in. That country is going to be gone. Kamala Harris wins, it's gone. There's no other way to put it. The country is gone. We're not going to get it back. Now, there's going to be strategies we're going to have to employ if they win, if they steal this, but I don't want to go there. I'm focused on victory. But I'm just telling you, that's what they've done. It's been methodical. It's been planned out. It's been systematic. It's premeditated. None of this is happening by accident. Now, the saving grace is that God sent us a warrior, and that warrior is Donald Trump. And he is warning us, and he has awakened this sleeping giant that is Middle America. And maybe, just maybe, we will rally and wake up just in time. But it's up to us. I keep saying this over and over and over again. It is up to us. No one's saving us. No one's coming to our rescue. We ourselves alone are the only ones that can do this. 617-266-6868. And look, it's now gotten to the point here. Big story. RedState.com. Kamala's internal poll numbers now show she's way behind in Arizona. She's behind in Georgia. She's behind in North Carolina. They're panicking right now. They're panicking. So already they've got Eric Holder. Listen now to this. Eric Holder and other corrupt lawyers. They're getting ready to challenge the 2024 election results. So they're already getting ready to, speaking of, talk about election deniers. They're already getting ready to contest the 2024 election. And we're still, 40 days away. So they are going to cling to power with everything that they have. We're going to have to wrench it out of them. That's the only way. And my fear, as they see these internal poll numbers, you see, that's their panic now. Are the American people going to swamp the polls? If they swamp the polls, we can't steal it. So now there's only one option left. Boom. That's what it is. Assassination. And to me, I can't wrap my mind around this. You've got 2 assassination attempts already on this man. And now, the biggest story in the world? And by the way, and everybody just accepts, yeah, they come in through the wide open southern border. Sure. Like, terrorists come in. Sure. Assassination teams are coming through our southern border, for God's sake. Well, sure. Hey, that's America now. Everybody gets to come in. So there's a foreign assassination team that came in through the wide open southern border. And nobody's raising holy hell about this? And now we find out they're tied to the mullahs. It's an Iranian death squad with nine shoulder-fired missiles. So they smuggled do you know what it is to smuggle a shoulder-fired missile? They smuggled 9 of them, which makes me, what else have they smuggled? Like, if this is what we know of, what is it that we don't know of? La-da-da, la-da-da, just another day in Biden's America, la-da-da. Really, and they're saying, yeah, shoulder-fired missile. They're going to blow Trump Force One. They're going to blow Trump Force One out of the sky. Okay, let me turn the page here. So, deficit went up again. Yeah. What can you do? What can you do? Oh, look at this. Netanyahu is going to address the UN General Assembly. Okay. Oh, yeah, it's just part of the news feed. It's just no big deal. I'm telling you, we're becoming a third world banana republic. So, look, all we got to do is pray. Trump's got to be very smart. He's got to make sure he's surrounded by people he can trust. He's got to have the best security he can. And watch your back. Because I'm telling you, as sure as the sun will rise, there's going to be a third assassination attempt. And I don't think they're going to rely on a bullet this time. I really don't. They're going to go for, as Grace said, it's going to be a mass casualty event. If there's got to be collateral damage, let it be collateral damage. But this time, don't miss. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. Ray, is it Bar or Barre? Barry, my bad. Ray in Barry. Thanks for holding, Ray, and welcome.
For taking my call, Jeff.
My pleasure.
God bless you for what you do.
Thank you, Ray.
I have a suggestion for Trump that might stop this big October surprise, that he should tell Biden, I will pardon you and Hunter, so that they can't be holding stuff over him to pressure him to resign from the presidency to put Comrade Kamala in place.
Ray, I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
I think you should get to tell Trump that he should pardon Biden and his son to take the pressure off the Bidens, because I think that's what the Democrats are using, and I think they're going to use that to this big October surprise is going to be he's going to resign to put Comrade Kamala in place.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. And just to add to what you're saying, Ray, that's a very interesting point. Look, I know he took flack from MAGA and some of his supporters when, Trump came out and said, hey, look, you don't think I could have put Hillary Clinton in jail? He said, look, my supporters were saying lock her up. And there was overwhelming evidence to lock her up. And he said, you think, it'd be, as he put it, it would be a bad look that I would lock up my presidential candidate. I would lead have my Justice Department jail her, imprison her, put my leading political opponent in jail. I didn't want that for America, our image around the world. So I let her skate. Okay, now, personally, I think he made a mistake. I'll be honest with you. I think he should have locked her up. But fine, we agree to disagree. My point is just this. Trump was trying to say, you don't think I could have locked people up? You're all calling me a dictator. Who did I ever put behind bars? Like, if there's one thing dictators do, they put their enemies behind bars. In fact, what they do is the definition of a dictatorship. You use the police powers of the state, your police agencies, and you go after your opponents. You lock them up. If not murder them, but at a minimum, every dictatorship in the world, okay, I don't care. Take China, take Iran, take North Korea, take Venezuela, take Russia. What does Putin do? He uses the FSB, okay, the heir to the KGB. Hey, you threaten the boss, as they call him. Off to Siberia, man. You're in jail. Bye-bye. No questions asked. So Trump said, who did I lock up? I didn't forget locks. I never prosecuted one person. Forget locking them up. Not one journalist, not one critic, not one politician, not one opposing candidate. No Democrat or media person was ever charged, never mind put behind bars. Okay? He said it. He goes, so they're calling me a dictator. What are you people talking about? Now, his point is just this. I wanted to give them a way out. I wanted them to know, look, I'm going to take the pressure off of you. For the good of the country, we're just going to turn the page. I won the election, and I'm going to implement my America First agenda, and let's move on. And what Trump, I think, is stunned at is, no, they're going to put him behind bars on bogus, trumped-up charges. And so, Ray, look, I agree with you. There maybe Trump should say, look, I'll tell you what. I'm not putting Joe Biden behind bars. And I'm not going to put Hunter Biden behind bars. And I'll tell you what, I'll even go even further. I will pardon them. Joe, you don't need to pardon him. I will. Now, how am I a dictator? Like, how? How am I a dictator? So, you don't have any reason to kill me. I'm not a threat to anybody. I'll even go further. I won't put Hillary behind bars. In fact, let me go further. I won't put a single Democrat behind bars. So how am I a threat? Now, am I going to secure the border? You better believe it. Am I going to deport illegals? You better believe it. Am I going to drill, baby, drill? You better believe it. Am I going to end the wars in the Middle East and Ukraine? You better believe it. But I'm not going to put a single person behind bars. You have my word. So there's no need to kill me. They still want to kill him. I'm just going to be honest with you, Ray. I think strategically, PR-wise, I think it'd be a brilliant move. I mean, people say, well, how bad can the guy be, for God's sake? It would take all of the sting out of their claims. He's Hitler, he's a dictator, he's a threat to democracy. I'm telling you, they would still kill him. Because they fear that once he overthrows the swamp, their days in power are over. 9:20 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, audience, again, I got to tell you, this week in particular, just through the roof. Absolutely through the roof. Audience is on fire again today. This is from Jack on Messenger. Jeff, and it almost reads my mind. Jeff, if you can smuggle several shoulder-fired missiles into our country, one dirty bomb is easy. Bingo. I mean, absolutely. Bingo. That was exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, well, 9 shoulder-fired missiles you smuggle in across that wide-open border, no problemo? With an assassination team? Oh, apparently there's 5 of them. 3 foreign assassination teams, according to the Department of Homeland Security. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. No, Jeff. We don't need to secure the border. Jeff, it's racist, Jeff. It's xenophobic, Jeff. It lacks compassion, Jeff. And no respect for diversity. Let me read one more. And I kind of touched on it earlier, but Michael really fleshes it out, again, on Messenger to the Kuhner man. And it's what many of you are saying. I wouldn't say a majority, but many of you are saying something very similar. And I think it definitely deserves a hearing. Good morning, Jeff. I believe the Iran angle of the story is a false flag. Look at the source. Our intelligence agencies, the same people who created the Russia hoax, impeached him twice, indicted and convicted Trump as a felon, raided his home with shoot-to-kill orders, tried to turn him into a racist, a Nazi. The people behind the Butler assassination attempt, the golf course assassination attempt, the people behind this are the real threat to his life. If you put it on Iran, then these nuts in Washington, D.C. get to have their war with Iran. And there are a lot of warmongers, a lot of hawks. The military-industrial complex would love a war with Iran. I think they'd want a war with Russia more. I mean, if you were to ask them, who would you prefer? They would take Madrasha over the crazy Ayatollahs, but they'll take Iran as long as they get their war. And then Michael follows it up with this. Jeff, I believe that they, and I think he means the deep state and the Democrats, are not going to, quote-unquote, allow Trump to be president again. But I hope I'm wrong. Why do you believe this report on Iran from our so-called intelligence agencies, quote-unquote, who have been corrupt and full of, I can't say this word, and full of crap since 2016? No, look, Michael, it's a very good point. We should be skeptical. I agree with you. The only reason why I believe it, and I could be wrong, I could be naive, you may be right, is the mullahs themselves on their website, their official government website, are calling for Trump to be assassinated. They even have an animation little video, calling for Trump to be murdered on his golf course. And, in Farsi, in Persian, they've written, revenge is infinite. Like, we're gonna get you for Soleimani. So that's why I'm kind of inclined to believe it. But no, I did say earlier, I go, look, think about it. It's very likely they're leaking this because they want to kill Trump, i.e. the deep state, and then pin it on Iran. This way, they get to eliminate Trump, which is what they really want, but then they get their war as well, because they can turn around and say, aha, it was Iran that killed him. So to get revenge for the killing, the murder of Trump, we're going to bomb Iran into the Stone Age. And so they get both. And of course, they absolve themselves of their complicity. And as an added benefit, imagine the reaction among many Trump supporters if they buy the notion, hey, Iran had Trump killed. Well, many people are going to want revenge. And they're going to say, yeah, let's join the war. So it's definitely something that's why I'm keeping it in the back of my mind. Believe me, I don't believe them, in blind faith. Absolutely not. Why am I discussing this story? A, it's the biggest story in the world, but B, because Trump's a marked man. Whether you think it's the Iranians that are trying to get him, or it's a false flag, or, whoever, it's clear that Trump is a marked man. And who will get him, we'll see. I hope they never get him. I don't want him to get him. I want this man to survive, obviously. But it's now clear they sense blood in the water. They fear Trump, and they're putting it out there that there's going to be another assassination attempt. It's all but inevitable. And that's why I'm urging Trump, be very careful. You got a mole in the Secret Service, you got people against you in the FBI, and the deep state wants you dead. 9:31 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868. Okay, I promise I'm going to get to all of your calls. But first, joining me as she always does at this time, she is the co-founder, CEO, president of Kelly Financial Services. And yes, that is her wonderful name, Kelly. Kelly, how are you?
Good morning, Jeff. I am good. Did you know that people devote more time to planning vacations, choosing a new car, or deciding on where to go for dinner than they do on estate planning, which is the process of deciding who will inherit your assets after you passed away? Talking through your wishes today can help your loved ones tomorrow. By creating an estate plan, you can decide how money is distributed or who will care for any children and the disposal of real estate. If you have questions about estate planning, Kelly Financial has a free investor guide called The Greatest Gift. Outline your wishes with an estate plan, which explains wills, trust, executors, and probate in easy-to-understand, comforting language. For the guide or to arrange a free retirement consultation, call 888-800-1881 or email Kelly at kellyfinancial.org. Jeff, I will continue this conversation with our Kelly advisors tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on Safe Money Strategies. Do tune in or go to our website for our radio rewind. Jeff, have a wonderful weekend. My best to Grace and the kiddos.
Thank you, Kelly. Have a great weekend as well. Best to you and everybody at Kelly Financial. Call now, 888-800-1881, 888-800-1881, or you can email Kelly yourself, Kelly at kellyfinancial.org, Kelly at kellyfinancial.org. Maggie in Amesbury. Thanks for holding, Maggie, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. Good morning. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure, Maggie.
I just wanted to make a couple of points. One, to follow up on a previous caller, I want to caution people to group, anyone who votes for Kamala or Trump in one or two or three different types of classes. I'm a woman. I don't have children, not by choice. I wasn't able to. And I've also worked in the private sector, but also for the government for many years. And surprise, I'm voting for Trump. So, I just think that this is one thing where we put people off as well. We need to realize that, hey, anybody out there with a good mind that's looking at the policy issues, that's thinking for themselves, they're a possibility. Talk about the issues, convince people. In fact, just this past weekend, I have a very liberal friend who's a doctor at a Boston hospital, and we had a great conversation on the border. I was emphasizing Trump's stance on peace. He's so against the wars. he's such a fighter on that end. And you know what? She started really thinking. And I think that she could possibly consider voting for Trump. So I think that we just have to be very cautious how we label people, because it's not like, oh, because you're a liberal woman who doesn't have children, there's no way you're going to vote for Trump. I mean, don't lump us all, in the same category, because it's just, I think we lose voters that way.
Oh, I agree. I completely agree. No, what I was talking about more were people who are completely government dependent, right? And people on welfare or illegal aliens. In fact, I don't know if that's what I really meant in terms of a dependent class. Well, what are they going to do? I mean, their very livelihood, their very existence depends upon that check from the Democratic Party. So they're not going to vote for Republicans no matter what. To me, that was the bigger issue. But no, Maggie, I don't know if you saw it. If this wasn't such an explosive topic, I probably would have covered it today. I'm definitely going to cover it next week. There is video footage now coming out of Arizona. The local media is all over it, in which they have found apartment complexes in Phoenix, Arizona, where illegals are living. They're illegals. And they openly admit they've been registered to vote. And I don't mean one or two. There's hundreds of them. And they go, no, we're registered. The Democratic Party registered us. And they said, who are you voting for? They go, oh, Kamala. Every single one of them, oh, Kamala. And they go, why? Well, they go, amnesty. Oh, they're going to give us amnesty. And number two, for all the government handouts. They admit it. So this is now my big fear, is that we've brought in so many illegals who are so dependent upon getting handouts on that public trough that there's a potential army. And if they all vote, I don't know if we have enough to swamp. I mean, I hope we do. I'm praying that we do. But that's the danger now. And, ultimately, Maggie, what nobody's thinking about is all that money we're giving to illegals, which it's hundreds of billions of dollars, the free health care, the free meals, the free schooling, the welfare benefits, the prepaid Visa gift cards. There's no money left for the roads. There's no money left for our homeless. There's no money left for our bridges and roads and infrastructure. There's no money left for our schools. We're bleeding our country dry. And pretty soon, we're going to go bankrupt. I mean, this is not doom and gloom. This is just basic mathematics. So they're leveraging the future to bribe voters for today. And that, to me, is the mortal danger now that we face. What say you, Maggie?
You are right on, and I think that is a extremely valid point and fears. But I'll tell you what, I think there's enough people in this country that recognize that. I have a strong feeling that Trump is going to win despite all that. But I think we need to be careful, because when he wins, they are going to try anything. Just like you referenced Eric Holder, already gearing up. They're going to try to do something to prevent him from getting back, or from, saying the election was rigged on our end or something like that. So I think we have to be prepared for a fight. But I think the voters will turn out. I think there's more people that may have otherwise be labeled liberal-minded that are going to vote for their safety of their country and their pocketbooks. And
I agree. I completely agree. And look, Maggie, you're dead on. I don't like to pigeonhole people. And I'll just give you a very quick example, all right? There was a younger woman, maybe early 20s, just came out of college, and she apparently wanted to meet me. She was a big fan of the show. Her mother introduced her to the show. And so I met her. And honestly, I was shocked. She was, what do you call them? They dress all in black. What is it? Is it goth? What do they call them? Mike, do you know what they call them? Anyway, goth, whatever it is. Goth, right? Yeah, so, how do I say this? Her nails were black. She wears nothing, completely black. Black lipstick, everything black. She had these huge earplugs. She had these holes in her earlobes. And then these black earplugs. It was all black. Now, honestly, okay, I'm going to be candid with you. If I saw her on the street, if I didn't know her, I would think right away liberal. I mean, just by the way she dresses, I'd be like, well, definitely liberal. But no, there she was. One of the biggest fans. I'm telling you, she's listening now. I bet she's chuckling. And so when I saw that, you know the old expression, don't judge a book by its cover. And I'll never forget that. So here was a woman, young woman, goth. I thought, well, if I saw her on the street, I didn't know her, I would say, there's no way this is a Kuhner Country listener, never mind a conservative. But she was huge fan of the show, loves Trump, completely America first. I mean, we almost finish each other's sentences, her and her mom. So, Maggie, you're completely right. Completely right. Never pigeonhole people. Maggie, thank you very much for that call. 617-266-6868 is the number. Dave in Winchester. Thanks for holding, Dave, and welcome.
Thanks for having me on, Jeff.
Hi, Dave.
I'd just like to recap this week real quick. So, Speaker Johnson, we didn't get the SAVE Act. We don't have a balanced budget. And I'm just wondering, is this the same Iran that the FBI just caught, Iran sending information to Kamala Harris's campaign? And how do we know the campaign's not sending Iran back information on Trump?
Bingo. Bingo. That's what I said a couple hours ago. I mean, I know nobody can listen to the whole 4 hours. I get it. But I'm just saying that's exactly what I said a couple hours ago. I said, to me, I think it's pretty obvious Kamala and the Iranians are colluding. Well, they're colluding. That's for sure. But I wouldn't be shocked if they were colluding about, you want Trump's locale? You want his location? You want to know where he is? Here it is. Do us a favor. Blow his plane out of the sky. I wouldn't put anything past these people. I really wouldn't. They're that evil. They're that diabolical. So, no, look, somebody sent me a really good meme. He said, Jeff, this is my life. I wake up. The Democrats do something illegal or outrageous. The Republicans get mad. And then nothing happens. That's my day every day. And those are the Republicans. So, of course, Mike Johnson passes this funding bill to keep the government open for 3 more months. And there's no SAVE Act. Because they're useless. Useless. 948 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868. Mike in Saugus. Thanks for holding, Mike, and welcome.
Thank you, Jeff. Just let me say one thing. This is to all the people that have Trump derangement syndrome, the Democrats, the Bens from Andover, the other loony bird there from Bill from Sudbury. Let me tell you something. Anything happens to Donald J. Trump, one of our best presidents since Ronald Reagan, we go to the streets. We will go peacefully, but let me tell you something. You know it's going to turn out to be violent. We love that man and what he stands for, and he has our back.
Well, I think that's what they're underestimating, is they're really playing with fire, Mike. And that's why I've been telling them, let it go. Let it go. You lose the election, move on. It'll be 4 years of peace and prosperity. Don't do this. You go down this road of violence and assassination, there's going to be no going back. So hopefully somebody gets the message. But what we got to make clear, Mike, from our end, is that we come out in the biggest numbers in the history of this country. We need 90 million votes for Trump. 90 million. We get him 90 million, the White House is ours. And then we can really go after the swamp. Mike, thank you very much for that call. Christy in Grafton. Thanks for holding, Christy, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Christy.
So our daughter attends conservative college outside Massachusetts, and she filed to vote by mail. She is definitely voting for President Trump. And I called our town a couple days ago to find out where her ballot is because she has been hearing from friends from other states that they're slowly getting their ballots. I found out that Massachusetts is not sending out ballots for another couple of weeks to the towns, which brings us to October 11th. And then you know that the towns have to then prepare those ballots to mail to each person who wants to vote by mail. That might bring us to the 18th, maybe even the 25th. How does a ballot get to North Carolina and back by November 5th?
It doesn't.
I'm very concerned about this.
No, it doesn't. There's no question it doesn't. I can tell you right now, it won't.
It's too late for my daughter as an out-of-state college student to register in the state of North Carolina to go and vote. And this is her first opportunity to vote for a president. And she is very upset about this. So are some of her other conservative friends that are also supposed to be mailing, in their ballots from other states that have not yet received their ballots. I mean, it's just crazy. How can it be so unorganized?
Well, because it's done deliberately. They want it unorganized. And it's not quite your case. It's a slightly different, but it's on the Gateway Pundit. I urge you to read it, Christy, if you have the time. She's a black mother, an African-American woman with a 17-year-old daughter, but who's going to be 18, I think in a couple weeks in October. And so her daughter will be voting. Now, this African-American woman is, like you and like your daughter, she's pro-Trump. She's conservative. Well, lo and behold, at the school that her daughter attends, they told her, in fact, they took the daughter out of class and said, you must register to vote here. And she's like, why? Why can't I register with my mom? No. You have to do it here. And you must register as a Democrat. And then literally the person, the social worker or the teacher that took her out of the classroom said, because, the daughter's black as well, she said, do you know what Trump's going to do to black people? He's going to get rid of all black people. And the daughter's like, what? Yeah, he's going to get rid of all black people. You have to vote for Kamala. You have to register as a Democrat. And so when the mother found out, she was livid. And I don't blame her. How dare you register my daughter without my permission, without my consent? I didn't sign any consent form. My daughter's 17. She's still underage. That's number one. Number two, she has to register at the school? Why does she have to register at the school? Why can't she register with me? And finally, you're going to tell her who to register for? And then lie to her about what Trump's going to do to black people to scare the living daylights out of her? So you can get her to vote for the way you want her to vote? So this is what I'm saying, Christy. It's all done by design. Notice, liberals never complain about not getting the ballot on time. And in fact, not only do they not get the ballot on time, Christy, when they send their ballot in, it can be a day after the election, 2 days after the election, 3 days after the election, and they still count them. Christy, my strong advice, and I know it's a real pain in the you-know-where, is have your daughter come to Mass, see you on the weekend or whatever, and have her vote early. And if she can't vote early, have her vote in person. Christy, are you still there?
Actually, yep, I am. We have been thinking about that. But it's funny that you mentioned that story about the young woman, because back in 1990, when I was in college, I registered to vote at Middlesex Community College that I was at the time. My family never talked politics much, so I didn't know what I believed. And I was also told to vote Democrat. And I voted for Clinton once. I did not vote for him twice because I met my now husband, who explained to me, you're not a Democrat at all. All your beliefs, especially because as a Christian, I believe, a certain way. And my husband said, no, the Democrats don't believe these things. So I switched, but came to the light side, I guess. But
no, Christy, look, I understand where you're coming from. Please, I completely get where you're coming from. But my point is this: whether you want to vote Democrat or Republican, Bill Clinton or Bob Dole or George H.W. Bush or whatever, that's up to you. That's your business. That's your right. It's not someone else's right to tell you, who's registering you to vote, who to vote for. Christy, bring your daughter home for a couple days. Have her vote in person. Don't let them steal your daughter's vote. They're trying to disenfranchise her. Don't let them do it. I gotta go. Bye-bye.